Good evening, welcome to this edition of the Evening Review. My name is Jemima Beakus, your host this evening. So we have in studio today Tjipura. He is a researcher and also a member of the Economic and Social Justice Trust. He's going to talk to us about the conversation around green hydrogen and how young Namibians are aiming to form part of these benefits. Thank you for joining us, Tjipura.
Thank you for having me.
So Tjipura, please tell us first, what is this trust? When was it started? What is it about? And what does it aim?
So initially, the Economic and Social Justice Trust, its aim, as per the name, is economic and social justice. We are championing, the ensuring that Namibians on an economic and social aspect, their voices are heard, number one, and that in terms of their rights, in terms of what they deserve as individuals, and also in terms of their dignity also, their dignity is amplified, and we ensure that even in terms of resource, extracting, in terms of things like poverty, in terms of things like gender-based violence, we tackle those, we help in tackling those issues. Yeah.
So, number one, yes, many people speak about it, many people say it, we assume everybody understands it. What is social justice and dignity?
Social justice initially is, ensuring that everybody's, rights are met. Where your right ends is where mine starts. So that is where we ensure that as a trust, in terms of things like also, because we are the ones initially, administrating or coordinating the basic income grant as well.
Yes.
I'm ensuring that such projects as well also, which work in favor of the rights of individuals as per Article 95, that they are met, and that each and every citizen adheres to those particular rights, especially the government, that they do treat people according to the rights that they have in a country as per our constitution.
So, speaking about dignified living, can you tell us some of the programs that you've started working on, and how long you've been working on these projects, and what the outcomes have been?
So initially we've worked on projects like the Activist School, where we educate young people on the socio-economic environment within Namibia, the space we work within Namibia in terms of their rights, in terms of the articles, just the civil society, the civil education or the civic education that they need as young people in becoming activists. Because as much as I can be an activist, let's say in terms of the BIG, if I'm not informed on its importance, if I'm informed on why it should be implemented, or if I'm informed on the particular laws and regulations that govern such a program, then me being an activist also is useless, because I don't know the particular steps or approaches to take. So we do have those programs. We will also have a residential school in September from the 12th to the 20th, if I'm not mistaken, where we also every year, or let's say every summer, every winter, we do have this particular residential schools, and we do teach young people and activists in becoming activists with who are informed, who know the right procedures, and also know the backbone of their nation, Namibia, as well.
So there's a number of programs. I mean, we have now the oil and gas sector that we are looking at benefiting from. We're expecting to have the first oil delivered or produced by 2028, 2029. We also have the green hydrogen sector that we are also looking at developing. There's a number of projects ongoing, like the Dauras, clean energy, and obviously we're waiting for the feasibility studies to be done by Hyphen Energy Namibia. So are these some of the projects you are involved in to get to garner benefits for Namibians, and how exactly are you involved here?
So initially, these projects, what we do is, because we're also involved in the oil drilling of, Recon Africa?
Recon Africa.
Yes. So what we advocate for is for a just, oil drilling, oil drilling that doesn't sort of like, risk the livelihoods of individuals, risk the, you know, the historical, essence of, the particular place that, they're drilling the oil, and doesn't actually also risk the environment also, because as much as we champion for the individuals, we also champion for the environment in which the individuals live in. And when it comes to projects like the green hydrogen, as a trust or as civil society organizations, we've put together a workshop, a pre-summit workshop for the summit that's happening next week, which is now from the 3rd of September, where as civil society members, we're being educated on the green hydrogen, where the idea came from, its benefits, its implications in terms of the legal framework, in terms of its impacts on the economy, its impacts on livelihoods, and also how or what particular streams the green hydrogen will take, and also like in terms of the land, the water aspects of it, and the particular laws and impacts as well on this, on the land, the water, and most importantly also the people on the ground, what effect it will have on them as well.
So some of the concerns you're talking about, just drilling. So very often we use these jargon, and not everybody understands that there's a lot of concerns in the Kavango region where this drilling is taking place and this exploration is taking place, that the water is at risk. Is at risk of being contaminated. So explain to us, what do you mean about just drilling when there are these concerns, and what is the reality on the ground?
In terms of just drilling, we're talking about drilling where you, first of all, number one, you need to do an environmental assessment, right? An impact assessment on the environment. Before that, also, you need to consult with the people who live in that particular area, because they are the descendants of that, that area. So one of the concerns they had was the fact that they were not consulted as individuals as well, and the fact that they believe that there's no oil there. As much as you can say that no, as you go in Africa, you are testing this oil, we are saying don't, because the state, which is the people, because we are the owners of that particular society, because we are the descendants of that environment. So if we say no to something, then we disagree, then you should stop. So one of the concerns we had, or why we were strong on the idea of opposing that, was because the people themselves on the ground opposed the idea, meaning that that's going against their rights as individuals. So in terms of just, we're talking about meeting each other halfway. You respect me, I respect you, then we meet each other halfway. If I, as a citizen or as a descendant of that particular area, if I don't agree with what you're doing, then at the end of the day, how does it benefit me as an individual? How will it benefit me? And also we need to see, in terms of just, also we need to see as to what effects will this particular projects like the green hydrogen have on the lives of people. What effects will it have on their land? What effects will it have on their future generation in terms of sustainability, in terms of ensuring that the people from that area benefit and not, are not put at risk? Because if you look at the green hydrogen project, we're speaking about towns like Luderitz. We are seeing that the cost of living in Luderitz has increased by 50%, simply because of the, of the assumptions in the future that this project, would or like these particular projects would bring benefits, or like would create jobs. The prices of houses would also increase. So cost of living would increase. Now, as civil society organizations, we are putting to question as to, are you as a government, or are you as a business, or as a particular corporate entity putting these things into consideration? Do you care about the people on the ground? Have you done assessments on the effects of, these things on the people on the ground? And as a company, or also as a government, what legal frameworks have you introduced, especially the government, what legal frameworks have you introduced to ensure that as citizens we are protected? Because currently they are busy with a policy draft on the green hydrogen, right? But they haven't yet consulted the people on the ground. They haven't yet consulted the people that live in that particular area as to how will you guys be affected? What's your take on this particular issue? And also analyzing in terms of also, because I've just heard now that they said that they might create 250 jobs, 50,000 jobs for the green hydrogen project, or from it by 2040. What feasibility study has been done to prove that this particular jobs would be created, and what jobs would be created as well? Because are we speaking about cleaners? Are we speaking about people who are going to sweep the roads? What particular jobs are going to be created? Because what's currently happening is we're being sold a dream. Now, as civil society organizations, we're requesting that as dowries, or as a particular company, or as government itself also, to its people who have a mandate, to its people, tell us, give us this information as the Green Hydrogen Commission. Prove to us that these particular things will happen. And also, as much as we have skilled people, as much as there are scholarships that are going out, how are these things catering for those who are unskilled? Because we see people, have less school in grade 10. How are these things being done for those who are on the ground?
So your trust had a meeting with the Green Hydrogen Commissioner, James Newper, this week. Did you get his answers?
Most of the responses, or most of the questions that we had from the people on the ground, were especially those who are in the affected areas, especially in Dauras. They were asking questions like, what about, our land? What about the water? Because one of the concerns in Namibia, we're experiencing, it's drought. So green hydrogen needs, it's water. You extract the hydrogen from the water, right? So in terms of this water, also just the feasibility study, you are drilling this, this particular boreholes in this particular areas where people have, live. So in terms of the risk assessment as well, what have you spoken to the people that what particular effect will this thing have on the people? Because one of the issues which he mentioned himself is the fact that they haven't consulted with the people themselves, right? As much as you can't consult with civil society organizations, we are the people, right? You have to consult with the people on the ground and in their languages where they understand. Because one thing also within the Green Hydrogen Project is the fact that there's lack of information to the people on the ground. Even as civil society organizations, we just learn these things in the workshop, which was yesterday, today, and which is tomorrow as well. So even we who have, the smartphones or the resources, we didn't get this information. Now, how do you expect the man on the ground who doesn't have a smartphone to get this information?
We'll go for a short break and we'll be right back
and
continue on that conversation. We'll be back shortly.
Irang Med is a leading distributor, working in partnership with NewMed and WestMed to meet the comprehensive needs of the Namibian healthcare sector. As a partner pursuing sustainable global healthcare, we offer industry-leading medical solutions through our key focus areas, which include pharmaceuticals, orthopedics, ophthalmology, surgical devices and capital equipment, as well as a well-established scientific laboratory division. In healthcare, Irang Med is committed to making a difference. What about you?
Entries are now open for the second round of Republicane's Bridal Couple of the Year competition. Couples married between 1 June and 31 August have until 30 September of this year to enter the second round of the competition. Another one of the top 10 couples will be chosen from this pool to participate in the final, taking place in May 2025. To better your chance of reaching the final, enter now. To enter, simply WhatsApp #bridal2025 to 085 785 6231 and follow the on-screen instructions or scan this QR code.
Good evening, welcome to this edition of the Evening Review. If you've just joined us, my name is Jemima Beerkes. I'm here in studio with Tjipura. He's a researcher and also a member of the Economic and Social Justice Trust. We are talking about Namibia's new oil and gas industry and the green hydrogen as well, and Namibians' demands to benefit optimally from these industries. And now, Tjipura, before we went on a break, you were talking about the workshop we've had this week and the consultation with the public. There's a feeling that the public has not been actively involved in the developments and the conversation around the green hydrogen. Can you talk to us about that?
One of the concerning issues we had also is that government signed a 40-year contract with Hyphen in terms of the green hydrogen project, right? And the agreements within this contract were not disclosed. Maybe this is because our article of, in terms of information sharing is not yet put in place or like it's not yet regulated. But as citizens, we deserve to know the agreements you have in terms of what you're going to do that affects us as individuals. So when I turn 60 or 62 or 65, after the contract, in the aftermath of this particular contract, my kids will have to suffer the impacts of it because we didn't know what exactly was in the contract as well.
Was that part of the conversation you had when you had
Yes.
the workshop this week?
Yes.
With James Newpay?
With James as well, yes.
And what was his response to this?
His response was the fact that these things, were consulted or like are being consulted with cabinet, but we hear complaints in parliament that some members of, even parliament were not consulted in this particular issue. And even him as a commissioner, as James Newpay, the commissioner of the green hydrogen also, nothing regulates him being a commissioner because there's no article in terms of, the green hydrogen. In terms of the legalities of it also, there are no particular legal frameworks that sort of like justify or sort of like regulate the green hydrogen project in terms of, its whole process. Yes, we do have the Mining Act, the Petroleum Act, and all of those other acts, and but specifically for green hydrogen itself, we don't have. But this project is being, it's going on. The pilot study is being done in Daurus, right? Now, in law, as much as I'm not a law expert, in law, before you do something, you need to enact the law first. Because before Namibia became independent, they had to, enact a constitution before ruling the country, right, moving forward. Now, with this project, what particular regulations or what particular frameworks are put in place to ensure that our resources are protected, our people are protected, and there's no local content policy in terms of, the citizens, themselves benefiting, the youth in terms of employment, because it's telling us about the 250 jobs. From where are those jobs going to come from and what type of jobs are those? So in terms of consulting, the people on the ground, there's, as much as they've put in, as much as they have road trips, these road trips are not with the people. I don't know who they're having the road trips with, but the people are saying there is no consultancy because we do have representatives from this particular, as much as they are not representing the people themselves, from these particular towns or affected areas or where this project will be done. So, and they themselves are saying the people were not consulted. So what exactly has been done in terms of consulting with the people?
Tjipura, there's been for very long, for the last few years, people feel that civil society is dead. And we have had this green hydrogen conversation for the last 2 years now. The fact that you are part of this trust, which is at the heart of civil society right now, and you do not have any of these answers, does it justify this talk that civil society is dead? 2 years after, you do not have any answers.
So one of the reasons why we don't have answers also is the lack of transparency from our government side, right? Especially when it comes to specifically the green hydrogen itself, because it seems like things are done behind doors. It seems like contracts are being signed before, you know, you consult with the people, before laws are enacted and all of these things, or before particular constitutional and legal frameworks are put in place. So in terms of awareness itself from civil society itself also, we aren't aware of these particular issues. But the issues that we are aware of, like the Recon Africa, we do tackle them. Issues like, you know, malnutrition, we do tackle them, especially with the Economic and Social Justice Trust. So we have addressed issues, as much as maybe it seems like civil society organizations are quiet. We do address issues. We are on the ground, speaking with the people, interacting especially with the youth, because we are the ones that are the future. We are the ones who will anchor this country come next year or the coming years. So I don't know maybe what particular notion is there, but maybe also it's again the lack of awareness on the public's also side in terms of what we as civil society do. Because personally, from my personal experience and from what I see on the ground, civil society is actually acting or doing something. It's just that maybe it's not being put out there enough for people to know.
So you were talking about government not being forthcoming when it comes to information, doing things behind the door, and yet you as an organization had this workshop this week and you shut the media out at some very important sessions. How do you justify that?
In terms of shutting the media out, this was because of the restricted, space for, the participants of the project, or of the workshop. But in terms of introducing the workshop, we did we did invite the media, where it was even visible or evident that there wasn't space, as some people had to like sit on extra chairs or something. So to avoid the space and all of that, we had to ask the media to to sort of like excuse us. But they are free to ask us questions. They are free to get insights on the project itself. On the workshop itself. So in terms of information sharing, it's available, really available to the media. Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us, Tjipura.
Thank you so much.
We'll be doing this soon again.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning. Until next time.